I won't even go into it because it's ridiculous. But
I watched those.
You need me to move my thing up?
You're good. Sounding good.
Quit messing with stuff. You're making me insecure over here. You may get it closer?
Yeah, there you go. Right there.
Is that better?
That's it.
And that's been
Perfect.
something that people really complain about, not being able to hear me. Goodness gracious. I want to start this thing. I want you to give us a little background. There's a lot of people know your background, but a lot don't. So you went to Cullman.
You're
one of the few people that's younger than me. So let's go ahead and get that out there.
When did you graduate?
What year did you graduate?
03.
Okay, I was 05.
05. Huh. Okay.
Roman campus at the same time.
Oh yeah. He was my senior.
Yeah, 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's an old man. I mean, he's close to 50
up
now.
there. Getting on up there.
I had a 20-year reunion this summer.
Did a lot of people show up?
Yes, it was. Our class has always been close.
Yeah.
And we've got some folks that really do a good job organizing stuff like that. So we've had, I guess, 2 reunions now, and this was well attended. Plus, we got to use that nice facility down there, Half Shell.
Oh, Cotton Creek.
Is that where you went?
Cotton Creek, yeah. It was.
That's nice.
It's the 20s when it hits you. The 10s just kind of, oh yeah, hey everybody. 20s when it's like, oh no, we're old.
I think we did. I think we went 5. Everybody's excited, 5, and then no, that's right. We did 10. That's right. We did 10. I just got married. Just kind of, everybody's kind of awkward, like you're figuring out, and then this one's just kind of like everybody's just hanging out.
This is the one you go back and say, how much has everybody changed? Can I recognize everybody?
That's right.
And I did a pretty good job at the 20. But
you went to both of yours?
No, I didn't go to 10. I went to 20.
Yeah, 20.
Well, we had a kind of a 2-night thing. I went to the second night.
Oh, that sounds fun.
I didn't go to the real formal one. That's
not your
me,
thing, huh?
No, not dressing up.
How was it at Cotton Creek?
It was great. We had kind of a 2-night thing. The first night was in the Goat Island and Half Shell I didn't know you could order through the window there. That was kind of nice to get a chance to have that menu. I've not eaten there yet. Still as a sit down.
Have it.
But just kind of more casual. And then, both of them were pretty casual. But the next one was we had a concert. I think Rolling in the Hay, maybe.
Oh,
did play outside. So like we were everybody's favorite class because everybody got to hang out outside and listen to music even if they weren't a part of the event.
I was the one I didn't go to, I think they had at the Elks Lodge. That might have been the 10-year. My memory is so bad. But then the one I did go to was down at the original Goat, and that was fun. They had a band and everything, gave us a little corner. I
used to struggle with feeling like you have to keep up with everyone's details.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like, I just realized, what? Everybody's just, we share this common bond together and we're all close, but no one expects you to know every detail, their kids' names and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You just kind of, it's really to catch up, and to, I think more just share that camaraderie, what we shared, and that if they did need something, we're all there for each other. But it's like, yeah, 2 kids, 3, that kind of thing. Like, everybody's growing their families and.
Man, you're taking it to the next level. I'm lucky if we know each other's names, Yeah,
I mean, I go in, and I used to be that way. It'd make me awkward because I'm supposed to know this. Now it's just, what have you been doing?
That's where I got to. Is like, I cared so much about wanting to remember everybody's details. Like, tell me what's going on. Where you at? What are you doing? That was kind of freeing to get to that point where you're just like, we share, a lot together, but it's okay to not know all the details.
No,
it makes it more fun to ask too. You have something to talk about.
What?
Yeah, if you don't know. If you go in knowing everything, what's the conversation?
Hold on, what do you have on?
I wore this for Trent. I figured he was in the right age. He's going to definitely know Yu-Gi-Oh.
Do you have any idea what that shirt means?
No, I've heard.
Blue Eyes, White Dragon, Trent?
I did not.
The Dark Magician?
Don't talk about anime. I'm out. I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even a Yu-Gi-Oh guy?
No.
Like, you do realize that's the vast majority of us
that play
that don't have a clue what that is.
I think you're missing out there.
I can't say the bottom of it. What's the bottom?
Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's
Game Master.
What?
I do remember that Yu-Gi-Oh, the name's coming familiar.
Oh, yeah.
He's being nice to you.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a clue. He's trying his best.
If it wasn't at Pasquale's on Thursdays or Wednesdays, put the quarter in play. If it wasn't there, or the bowling alley. If it wasn't at the bowling alley,
you had Pac-Man, and what was the other guy? Philip would switch the games.
Yeah,
always Pac-Man.
Always Pac-Man.
Pac-Man was the tabletop too.
Yes, it was a good one.
Glass tabletop. Yeah.
And then there was always another game, but you had to go to Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, I was Pac-Man.
Was it Miss Pac-Man?
It was Miss Pac-Man.
Oh yeah.
Galaga? Was it Galaga maybe? I don't remember.
I'm sure it was there at some
combo
point.
Games. Probably one of the combo ones where it had 2 games.
Yeah. I think there was a shooting game one time. which is, man, I'll spend some money on one of the shooting games.
Oh yeah.
I'll get there and I'm doing the quick draw.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm that guy.
Oh yeah.
You're down holster.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Anybody can sit there and hold it at the screen. I want everybody to know.
Counting your ammo.
People could not go to the bathroom because I would block the door and just pulling my moves, ducking the shots.
Yeah, because it's a tight squeeze over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got to back everybody up.
Yes.
You can't have anybody around.
That's right.
Even when I had kids, I'd move them out of the way.
Look out! We're getting serious here.
We went to Dave and Buster's, and I had Case with me, my little 10-year-old, and no, he'd be like, "Hey, can we go?" No, we're going to play this for a little bit. Just hold on.
Mm.
We played a few games together. I might have had to give him some positive reinforcement. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's good.
Right. You graduated Cullman in 05.
Graduated in 05. Went to Colorado Springs to the Air Force Academy right out of high school. Had always felt kind of a yearning to serve. Always interested in aviation. So was able to get fortunate enough to get an appointment there first time, and you do it, you apply, you assume. Hey, I mean, involved in 3 sports, pretty involved with the extracurriculars at school. I was SGA president. Surely they're looking for somebody like me, but once you get in, you realize like it's the top of the top.
It's not easy.
It was not easy, and so I think the naive probably actually helped me not be anxious about it.
Yeah.
Because once you get there, you realize they had 36s, and you did not have a 36 on your ACT. But I do. It was an incredible experience. I went there again to fly. Got to do my freshman summer. Did my jump program. Got my jump wings.
Oh, really?
Yes. So only 2 places in the country at the time where your first time you leave the plane is solo.
Really?
You go to Vermont, they're going to tandem you with an instructor.
I thought everybody had to go. So it's not a static line. I mean, it's
not a static line. It's
oh,
free fall, pull the chute, the whole thing.
What was that like?
Incredible.
Was it?
I kind of joked that like Friday nights are not nerve wracking when you've pulled that chute free fall.
It's a perspective thing.
It's a perspective thing. There's no third down.
Nothing.
Free falling through the air.
Jumping out of a plane.
Were you able to take that step out of the plane okay, or did it take a second?
So what I'd tell is we spent 2 weeks and all we did was train. Like you're on the ground 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you're training, and very little of it is the actual leaving the plane. Everything's recovery, like emergencies. If something happens. Horseshoes, they're squirting you with water guns, and you have to call out the procedures to, save yourself and all that kind of stuff. And you have your primary pool, and they have an altitude safety, and that's just meant so you don't.
So at some point it's going to come.
It's going to pull. Yes,
no matter what.
there are people who pass out.
Oh man,
really?
They freeze and they pass out and black out, adrenaline, all that stuff. And so there's one, and it's just meant to keep you alive. It's probably going to be a broken ankle and that kind of thing if you don't pull your own chute, just because the speed, you can't regather that. And so the first time, you go through your checklist. I still remember you stand at Walker in the door and it's prop. You look at the prop up, down, I'm clear, and you leave the plane. Like I can do that. I can still do it in my sleep because you trained it so many times for 2 weeks. It wasn't the first time. I still remember. I don't remember anything. Like we're in Colorado, so you can see the whole Rampart Range is there. I don't remember anything except a gold chute above my head. You're just adrenaline. You're just going through your count, and you pull the thing, and then all of a sudden, you look up, and there's I'll never forget because they had 4 different colors for the different 4 class years: gold, blue, red, and silver. So every class rotates a color.
So you come gold.
I wasn't gold, but just those are the 4 colors they packed chutes of, and so mine happened to be gold that day, and I'll never forget. I don't know what my other 4 chute colors were. But the first one was gold. I know that. It was gold.
Because that's all that matters is seeing that chute above you.
It opened up full, and I was good. So it wasn't the first time I was nervous. It was actually the second time. So now you've known what you were doing. It's like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Why am I getting in this plane and jumping at at altitude?
When you leave, I guess you get that free fall sensation, but it goes away, does it not? Once you hit terminal velocity,
it does. And so
like
again, even the second and third jumps, I wasn't enjoying the jump, if that makes sense. It was more executing this thing. There's a 4th and 5th jump where you're like, hey, I'm free falling. There's the mountain range. Like it wasn't until the 4th or 5th that things slow down. You talk about football players, like the game slows down for the quarterback. The more he does it, it's the same idea. First couple of jumps was just procedural, just stay alive, and then the last 2 were kind of like, hey, I'm free falling because our free fall was about 10 seconds or so. Ours isn't the 30,000. Like all the way. There was some other 10,000. Ours was I remember now, maybe 5,000 feet. I don't remember what it was, but it's not those 2-minute free falls that you're thinking in the movies like Mission Impossible and stuff like
where
that.
you can get into a car and
it's not static line where it pulls for you, but it's also not the upper level free fall. It's about being about a 10-second count.
Did you have to go through the wind tunnel to figure out how to control yourself in the free fall?
No, we didn't have any wind tunnel training.
So you're just jumping out of this plane hoping that you can stay
they've got
somewhat...
some harnesses where you train the position, kind of like you're holding the position inverted. I mean, they do, the training was, I said, this is how the military trains for anything. I mean, that's why we're the most successful, military in the world, is because of the way we train.
So is this pretty early on?
This is my first summer. I worked hard. You kind of there's 3 or 4 different programs in the summers, and based on your class rank, you get to pick which program you want to be a part of. There's also a glider program, and there's some that you don't really pick. You kind of get shoved into if you haven't done well. So being more towards the top of my class, I got to pick, I want jump program, so I got to do that. And
so this is between your freshman and sophomore?
Yep. They're going to do a lot of fun things those first couple of summers to try to make sure, because your commitment dinner happens the first year, junior year. So they give you these experiences. I mean, it's not meant to be a bait and switch, but they want you to have some pretty neat experiences to have. And that was, again, 3 weeks, and then they kind of divide the summer up into 3-week blocks, and then another one you go to an Air Force base and you shadow people for 3 weeks. So it was a good. It's
kind of hard to top whenever you start out jumping out of a plane.
Yeah, glider program the next summer was a little, it just hit different, but it was, like I said, incredible experience to get to do that. The other thing that you don't think about is once you've seen the ground from that high, so you have a radio right here strapped on, and there's a guy or gal spotting you, and they're telling you when to pull the chute, because when you first do it, I mean, you've trained, but you don't know when to pull that thing. And like, so you said perspective, right? So like you're really high, so you may still be 100 feet off the ground, but you feel like you're about to hit your feet, because your perspective has changed quickly.
Yeah.
So it's hard to gauge.
The trap is, if you don't trust them and you pull too early, yes, you balloon up and slow down, but then everything has a reaction, right? Then you speed back up, then you end up crashing in the ground.
Wow.
So you have to wait, and they're like, don't pull, wait, and you have to trust them.
Is it hard to not
wait?
Yeah.
They said that'll be the hardest thing you do.
You're coming down,
and you're trusting somebody else, and you're coming down pretty. I mean, you have a chute on, but it's not slow. It's not a hot air balloon where it's just kind of settling. I mean, you're still coming in with speed. And
so
impact.
This is the longer chute that's more of a rectangle shape.
Yes, you control it. I mean, they've said, all right, cadet Walker, turn right, turn left. You do maneuver, you steer. You have to do your own approach. I mean,
you do.
Yeah,
so it's not just jump out.
Yeah, like they have certain weather, like flags, the cones. I mean, you chart out based on the wind how long this leg is going to be. I mean, you're up there working through problems as you go, and you get there, and again they tell you when to pull, and you see guys who pull it, and you can kind of walk it out. There's people who don't trust it and pull early, and then they speed up, and it's a tumble.
When you get accepted.
Yeah.
When you arrive, do you go through a boot camp at that point?
So I don't remember when I got the exact acceptance letter. I'm sure it was sometime in the spring. Then they tell you, your report date is June 30th. So I didn't have the full summer off that seniors have before they go to college and stuff like that. So we did a family trip right after school was out. Kind of just a vacation trip. And then my parents thought it'd be good for me to get out to Colorado. 1, you got the altitude to deal with.
Yep.
2, just to have me and my parents have some time for I reported basic training. Because, I mean, once you start those 30 days, there's no phones, there's no contact with the outside world other than letters they can write you. And so I reported June 30th, 2005 for basic training. I mean, it's the basic training. They bring the big Smoky Bear hat guys from Texas. The Air Force guys are based out of Texas. Their education and training department, and they're all up in your grill. It's shave your head the first day. I remember I wore an Air Force Academy shirt. These memories are just locked in forever. Like I wore this Air Force. I mean, I was proud. Why are you wearing an Air Force Academy shirt? You are not a part of the United States Air Force Academy yet.
Laid into you right away.
You haven't earned. I said I should.
That's when you just really want to take it off.
Generic.
Do you think it would have mattered though? They're going to get you for something.
No, they would have found something. They would have found. They found something on every person.
Yeah,
it does. It's such a unique experience. I mean, my mom kind of jokes that every young person should have to go through that.
Yeah.
Just from a sense of they really do tear you down, but they build you back so strong. I mean, I felt like I was a very diligent, responsible for an 18-year-old. I was doing okay, but it was just a whole different level. Once you've had to fold your clothes, and not 12 by 12, 11 by 11. shirts and underwear and 6x6, like, and your room has to be perfect when you go to class, and shaving and white glove inspections. Once you've kind of gone through all that, it just takes it to a whole different level. Maybe I couldn't sit down for 30 days. So the first time we got to sit down during the day, like here I am 18 years old and I'm feeling on top of the world because I get to sit in a chair at 2 p.m. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of
it's the little things.
It's the little things. It's the little things. But
I wish I would have done something like that. I mean, that would have been
the bonds.
phenomenal.
I mean, there are people in that freshman squadron, because you go through basic training with the not the same group you'll be in the school. So they have different little segments. You form squadron mates in basic training, and then you get put into your freshman squadron. You have those people, and so you have this chance for multiple opportunities to form these close bonds. And I would say, the term I use with my guys here is shared suffering, and I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just when you do those things together, there's a bond. That's why I think sports and different things bring guys together. When you're stripped down to that and have to get through things together and solve problems and work through really tough situations, there's just a bond that's formed forever. And so there's still Air Force classmates to keep up. I didn't end up finishing there. We can talk about that later, but I still have guys to check in that knew the path I was headed on and have checked in along the way. So when I was at Auburn, we had like cadets I went to school with, got to travel that game, and they came to my apartment in Auburn when I was there as a student. When we were I was coaching at Auburn as a student assistant. We went to Ole Miss, and the Air Force jump team jumped into the stadium.
Oh, really?
And I knew some of those people. So it's just, there's been some neat tie-ins throughout the years to that part of my journey. It was hard. Every time I hear a fighter jet fly over to, pregame, I'm like, because I really wanted to be in a cockpit of a fighter jet. And the reason, there's two different things going on there, but one of them is I'm a W, so like I hadn't gone through the checklist to get to me on pilot qualification. I was like, God, that's kind of a big deal for me. Well, and so I just kind of asked some preliminary questions. And, well, you've had some concussions in athletics, you got contacts. We just really can't give you a yes right now until you go through the formal process. And I was like,
they're looking at that kind of.
Your concussions. Your history. I mean, they're about to put for the pilots, especially the fighter pilots, they're putting, I don't want to have a number, but I mean, the Air Force education is $385,000. Is when they come to scholarship day, they tell you, this what we're awarding this young person is about $380,000. That was 2005.
That's probably
higher now. And so they're about to put a ton of investment into these pilots, and so they want to make sure those candidates are going to be able to see through the training, and there's not going to be something that comes along 2 years down the road that they could have foreseen already that takes them out of training. So it's
they don't guarantee anything.
No, nothing's guaranteed.
You could want to fly an F-22 and end up flying a tanker.
C-5, and I was like, do I want to fly a tanker? I wasn't sure. I just got there, and that's why if I go back high school, I tell you, go shadow the job you think you want to have. Mine was being at the Air Force Academy. I talked to pilots for the first time, and so I got to find out what the lifestyle of a pilot. And there was things there that you just don't know. It's not all Tom Cruise and Top Gun.
What were some of the surprises?
Just that, again, military moves, but just some of the. I was like, I grew up in Cullman. I never had to think about leaving here. Am I going to be okay having a job and occupation that says you've got to move here? And they tell me when I move and how long I can be there. I just wasn't so sure I could look a wife, children eventually in the eye and say, yeah, this is the lifestyle that I chose for you too, because they're such a part of that. So there's those things. A little bit of the uncertainty of, do I want to fly? Is my wish to only fly a certain airframe? Because that's just not fair to the government. It's not fair to our country. Like, am I being almost selfish in a way that I have a very select way that my happiness and joy would be in one airframe? What if I did get tankers? Am I going? Because I had a distant cousin from St. Louis that he was on a pilot. He was on a flight team in high school. He had hundreds and hundreds of hours in a Cessna in high school. Got to the Air Force Academy, did all the things he could do there to be, and he ended up in a heavy. And I'm like, if that guy, if he's not capable of fly a fighter, do I want to do this? I mean, when you sign up commitment dinner, first night of junior year, it's a 2 years I'm going to finish school commitment. I'm going to give you 5 years of active and 3 reserve. And if you go the pilot route, it ends up being 10 active. So I know I want to do this for the next 10 years of my life. I'm 20. I'm not sure. At that point, I was just having these, I can be over analytical at times. It benefits in some ways. And I was just like, do I want to do this? I need to think about this. And I was in good standing in my class. So they do offer students the opportunity, like Mormon cadets, more in faith cadets, they can go do their 2-year mission and come back into the academy if you're in good standing. So they don't have a policy where if you leave, you may not get in. If you're in good standing, you're kind of guaranteed.
There's some flexibility.
There is, but you're going to lose your class. Like class of 2009 was my identity. Like, because you graduate in 05, it's a 4-year school. So class of 09, I mean, you're doing chants all during basic 09 or time. I mean, it's so ingrained that you're going to be class 2009. You have a former military person who's like your class's like name that they're after, the color. You have a class color, ours was blue. You have all these things that are such an identifier of those first 2 years. It can kind of be hard to think about changing all that. But again, the decision I made was I've got these things on my heart I want to pursue. If I do this, I want to do it full tilt. It's just kind of my personality. Let me take some time off. And I say that it's harder to leave than it is to stay. And what I mean by that is, every meal is going to be provided, breakfast, lunch, dinner, plus snacks in between. You've got a place to sleep. You've got a job guarantee when you leave. Like all of them, that's what people say. Are you crazy? Like just stay, write it out. I'm like, I'm just not feeling the things I need to feel to make this commitment. And so one thing I'd always thought about was coaching. I'd always had, from Brian Bowen and Brent Patterson to Mark Britton to Mike Dean, I'd had these people in my life that just were these. I got 2 parents in the home, real close to my dad, great relationship, look up to him. I want to model him, but I also had these coaches that touched my heart in a different way. And I was like, if I leave this Air Force Academy, this is what I think I might want to do with my life. And I started aeronautical engineering while I was there, and I realized that was so theoretical. I was like, I think I need to switch maybe to civil. So I switched to civil engineering at Air Force Academy. And I was like, I think I'm gonna be a dirt boy, not like I said, I liked what I thought aeronautical engineering was, and I was just so worried about it being in a lab and being too theoretical. I like to interact with people. I like to use my hands more than that, so I switched to civil.
Goodness gracious. And you're acting like that's easier. If it's got engineering on the back end of it, there's nothing easy about it. Yeah. Engineering is a profession that you can go into. You look like you were struggling over there. I just didn't want you to.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that one.
Imagine my proud parents when I left the Air Force Academy and end up at Auburn and say, I think I want to be a coach. Yeah. So that they said,
That's a little bit of a switch.
Please finish this civil engineering degree. And so I did end up finishing my civil degree at Auburn.
You did?
As my backup plan.
Goodness gracious.
And there were days in coaching that I was like, why didn't I use that backup plan? You know what I mean? But then the thing keeps going and you become so fulfilled in what you do. And like now this is I love doing this. And so I can't think of doing anything else but this. But so leave Air Force Academy. Had some contacts. Matt Scott was my offensive coordinator at Cullman. He was at Spain Park as an offensive coordinator at the time. I was trying to get on with him. There's just they'd moved some staffing around. They just didn't feel like they could bring me in at the position I wanted to be there. They'd moved some people who'd been there a couple years down, and they're like, I can't just bring you in here and be my right hand man. So I was like, he told me about this guy named Lance Reese at Gunnersville High School. Mm-hmm. Under head coach Phil Eisman. He's like, remember how we always did those fall jamborees with Gunnersville? There's a reason we did that. Lance Reese and I grew up together. We're great friends. So he got me on with Coach Eisman and Coach Reese. And Coach Reese in high school, how it can be, everyone's coach offense. So Coach Reese was defensive coordinator. He had some help, but everybody's just kind of doing it because I had to do 2 spots. And so there was just a great opportunity for me to kind of get under his wing. And he slowly started trusting me more and more, gave me the punt block team. And I would spend hours up there at the field. I was single in Gunnersville, living by myself. Like, what else was I going to do? So I'd spend hours watching the punt block or watching their opponent's punt. I'd come up with schemes. I think we blocked 5 that year, which was like a school record. But again, he didn't have the time to allocate to it. So gave me ownership. It was unbelievable experience. I also got to coach the kickers. I played soccer from early as I can remember until I played football in 8th grade. I didn't play football in 7th grade. I'm still on the soccer train. And so I felt comfortable enough to work with the kicker. I wasn't a good kicker's coach, but I knew enough about kicking to kind of. And so a kid named Adrian Jarmello, I'll never forget. We went up to North Jackson. We won a playoff game. He kicked a game-winning field goal. And I feel like I had some role in that. So I'll do this the rest of my life. And so that was kind of like the final seed to do that. Was able to get on at Auburn. I was going to Auburn anyway. I didn't want to take a whole year off of school. I thought it was important to get back into school. So in January of 2008, I went down to Auburn. Fortunate enough to interview with the staff there and got on with Coach Tuberville's staff. Paul Rhodes, the defensive coordinator. He had actually been recruited by Air Force Academy. So he's like, if you got into Air Force Academy, then I know what you're about. So it's kind of these neat tie-ins that, you know, that getting into there did lead to honestly getting on at Auburn. Did a full year as a student assistant. Basically, I would go to class, sometimes maybe not as much as I should at times, but I would go to class and then I'd scurry back over to the field house, work for football, help where I could, build a scouting report, whatever it was, and go back to class. I was just in this transient mode.
Is most of that watching tape in that role?
Breaking down the tapes, but even that, in my role at that point, I wasn't even qualified enough to break down the tapes. It was, It was again putting the card stock sleeves inside the scouting report and doing, you know, punching holes, and it was more truly clerical administrative type work. But you're around, so then all of a sudden, a position coach will grab you and say, "Hey, I need you to meet with this guy for a second," and you're like, "This defensive back knows more than me about this coverage, but I'm gonna act like I know what." You know, so you eventually you get these experiences, and you eventually become more comfortable, and you learn just in snippets. And then in 2000, after the Iron Bowl, that's the year they let Coach Tuberville go, and so they cleared out the whole staff. So they're like everybody. And Coach Chizik was coming in. And he had a certain vision for what he wanted, so he wanted to start all over. He had been there before.
What was that feeling like when they cleared it out?
Man, this is a business. You know, you just, as a fan, so I'm an Auburn fan. Would become a third generation Auburn graduate, and so to know what Coach Tuberville and his staff did, and to see it all just get, you know, at the end just be done. I was like, wow, this really is a business. This is, you know, so that was a really eye-opening experience about what college football is. And then just some of the, you know, again, that was some of the politics were going on at that time. It's just kind of a unique time in Auburn's got a lot of unique history, but that's one of the periods. And so, but to see him clearing out a house, and then Philip Lawley, he made his name at North Jackson. He was on Coach Tuberville's staff as a high school relations guy. And he'd work with Coach Chizik when Coach Chizik was a defensive coordinator at Auburn. And I think that's one thing. Coach Chizik had seen these people in different roles work, and so he thought it was very important in his new role as head coach to start over. Yeah. And so I learned, you know, some things from that as well. But Coach Lawley, I said, just basically annoyed Coach Chizik. I got this guy. He's a student. He's free. I mean, there's nobody. You know, he'd be great. I like him to work with me. And he said, "Okay, Philip, look, you talk to Ted Roof. If Ted was good with it, bring him back on." And so I was headed home. I just finished up summer exams. I was so after that Coach Tuberville staff, January of 2009 on till the summer, I was just a student, which is kind of different for me. I'd been at the Air Force Academy taking 20 hours a semester. Like just in Auburn, you had to ask permission to take 20 something hours. At Air Force, it was just like, here's your schedule, you know. So I was 20
hours a semester.
It was a pace that I was not used to, but I got to where I kind of liked it. Yeah. You know, go play volleyball at Ridgewood over there. Like, it was just there, you know. I was like, this college life's not bad. But obviously the long and being kind of involved, like when Coach Reese would take his Gunnersville staff, when the Gunnersville staff would go to clinics, they would put me on the staff list. I would join them in Atlanta at a Glazier clinic. These are different clinics that go on in the Southeast. So I was still kind of professionally developing, if you will, but I'd kind of settled in my role as a student at Auburn. And then I got a call. I was about to head home the next day, and Coach Lawley said, "Hey, you here?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Come meet Ted Roof tomorrow. If it goes well, you're back on." So I got back on in July of 2009.
What was that meeting like?
What's your name? Trent Walker. Coach Lawley spoke highly of you. You know this guy right here? Because Coach Chizik had brought back a few other people at that time. I was like, "Yes, sir. We worked together." He said, "All right, they vouched for you. Let's go." And so
was it.
He's like, "Yeah, go get a copy off the copier and let's go." Like I literally started working within 15 minutes of me.
Do you have any idea that was coming?
No.
So
no.
I mean,
I did not know Coach Lawley was working in the background. I'd kind of he had said the right things, and I understood the spot he was in. Yeah. But then when he called it, like I said, all changed. And 2009 was wasn't the best year, but to be back on, to learn, you know, under Coach Chizik and see his style and his approach. And Coach Roof was different than Coach Chizik. That's one thing I saw is Coach Roof was kind of an artistic defensive coordinator, and Coach Chizik is more almost like the engineering side. He's very clear and concise on some things too. And so to see them try to work together, you know, ultimately it would shift kind of that 2010 year. Coach Chizik would he needed to get started at Auburn and have people he trusted in roles. But as it went to 2010, you saw that kind of the shift of I want more of my thumbprint on this defense. And so it obviously worked out well. When that guy named Cam Newton showed up in January 2010. It helps a little bit
when you have number 2 out there.
Yes.
So you got to go through the whole year and actually see behind the scenes of a national championship.
Yes. And so I've seen both sides of the spectrum, right? The firing of a staff that had done incredible things at Auburn to see that side, the hardest side, and then the national championship side. And that's, you know, that season was one that had a lot of drama inside of it. You know, you're just trying to figure out how can we win this one, and then you're like, okay, they start stacking. Now you're at 8 and 9. How can we find a way to get this one? Like, we're going to put these things together, and then obviously the Iron Bowl. I'm sitting there halftime going, ooh, this is going to be a tough ride back to Auburn. That was the comeback. And so it was, I don't remember what the score was at halftime.
What was it, 24 to
it was bleak.
7 or 20?
It was bleak.
And
I remember thinking, that is going to be a tough ride, just knowing that right here is the national championship berth at stake, to come in here and to get beat this way. And then all of a sudden, you know, it wasn't just the plays on the field. And you know, there's several Cam stories, but one of them is like he took over that locker room at halftime. I mean, it was his locker room, and he willed that team into believing we were going to come back and win that game. And that was something
he had that much belief.
He did.
From a coach's perspective, is that when you know sometimes, or when you've seen that, when it's like you can step back?
Yes, you realize you're in the presence of someone who's different. I don't say greatness, but I mean athletic greatness. I mean, just again, he'd been kind of quiet. I mean, he'd done his thing all year, but I don't think you'd seen him be as vocal as he was in that moment.
Did the coaches kind of sit back and let him take command at that point?
Yeah, when your player, I mean, it's the same with me. When your best players want to speak up, there's more power than that than anything I can say. There's more power than that. One story I always want to tell about Cam is that, because if you follow Cam, he's gotten a very, very eclectic and eccentric. But one thing I want to tell about him is that I remember everybody going home so we got 2 weeks off, a week off between the end of school, the time to come back for bowl prep. Everybody's cutting out the door, and I remember I got sent over to the different side of it wasn't the football side, but kind of the Tigers Unlimited side at the time. And I peeked in the door, and Cam Newton was in there signing. I mean, like the room was covered in stuff that you could tell he had to get to. So everybody else is cutting off to go home, and he's in there signing. I kind of was like, okay, Cam, you know, like, you got to do all this? He's like, yeah, I got people that this means something to for Christmas. And so like for him to stay and to do that, and he could have just pieced out, you know what I mean? I just thought like that is a side of him that people would never get to see. It's pretty cool that he understood his role in Auburn history at that time and what a signature on a football or a jersey could mean for a Christmas morning present to somebody.
That is, thank you for saying that, because you see a lot of the outfits now and just
that's what I mean. Like I don't know that. I never knew Cam really that well. Another story I always tell is that we get back from winning the national championship, and you know, if you've seen the picture, I mean, Toomer's Corner is as white as it's ever been. I'm thinking, here I am, third generation Auburn. I'm going to go celebrate with the Auburn people. And Tim Jackson, who was kind of, I don't say his handler, but kind of helped Cam, and from a media relations, he said, hey, Trent, when we get back, you're going to grab Cam off the tarmac and you're going to head to Atlanta. He's got to fly across to, I don't know, it's Jay, whoever's in California, one of the late night shows. He's got to do a red eye flight.
Really?
Yeah, so I didn't even get to stay in Auburn.
Well, you didn't even get to celebrate the victory.
No.
Right back to work.
I got the rings and all the stuff, but the actual the Auburn fan, some people are like, you're an Auburn fan? I'm like, you got a minute? You know, let's talk about that, because obviously I care deeply about Auburn. I graduated from there. I was in third year. My grandfather grew up in Opelika and went there and was API. So yes, but when you've had to do the business side of things, the fandom is just a little different. It's a little skewed, if that makes any sense at all. Like, yeah. I mean, I've had to take coaches' grills to the park to let them grill out for their families, not get food, take the grill back to their house and clean it. You know, like there's just things that like the context is different for me.
It's not like showing up on game day and getting to go home.
Yeah, it's just when you've seen the inside, you know, it's like someone who cooks a meal, right? When they've cooked the meal, sometimes they don't want to eat it. It's kind of one of those things.
I'm that way. If I cook, I do not like to eat it.
Well, the same experiences. Such an amazing opportunity to learn. I mean, just a sponge. I mean, to go from no coaching background to being, I mean, literally you're sitting there.
You're thrown into it.
I mean, I'm in a graduate assistant room with Eli Drinkwitz, head coach at Missouri right now, Brett Lashley, head coach at SMU, Casey Woods, the offensive coordinator at SMU, Eric Link, he's the special teams coordinator at Missouri. Like the guys in that little room right there. I mean, we were like I said, we were hanging around some of the goats of SEC coaching at that point. And so to have that experience, just to soak it all up, was just, I mean, it was worth all the other things I'm talking about. But it's kind of, when people ask, you know,
it's not all roses.
It's not all roses. when the first time I put that AU on my chest, I mean, I felt like Disney, like
This is
all
it.
the movies.
I have arrived.
Just because it connected so many storylines in my life, and then by the end, you're like, it's just a patch on here. But again, so thankful for it and wouldn't trade it for anything. But it's just like those little, you look back and laugh, and somebody's got to take Cam to the airport. So why not you?
Did you get to talk at all, or was he just kind of there?
He slept.
Okay,
it was late. We got back late.
That's even worse. You don't even get to talk.
I know. And so, but I always try to tell a Cam story because I think that can get lost in all the money, the dad, the church, like all that stuff gets really messy. And I don't know I mean, in my role, I know none of it. That wasn't my purview when my role at Auburn. But I did see a guy who literally spent hours stroking his signature just because of what it would mean to people.
And he could have left.
He could have left.
They're not going to bench him at that point.
100%. He could, but he sincerely felt an obligation to a lot of people to do that for them.
That's cool.
And that was before. Now he could have made money.
That's what I was about to say. He's just signing it for people.
Yep. And so I always try to tell that story on his behalf.
So where'd you go after Auburn?
I went Casey Woods, who was one of the offensive graduate assistant type guys. His dad, Sparky Woods, was at VMI, Virginia Military Institute. And so I was, there's kind of a pecking order back in the GA room. Like you're trying to be the top guy. Like you want to be the guy that never has to leave the room. It's kind of like the thing. If you don't have to leave the room, because Coach Chizik is like, hey, Trent, go I need a Subway sandwich. So I think his order was a turkey sandwich, drag it through the garden. Ugh. Yeah.
He wanted everything.
He can have all that.
Yeah, he can have all that. And the first time I had to say that at the restaurant, I was or at Subway, I was not comfortable. And then I hand him the Gene Chizik credit card, and it's like,
oh, then they were.
You're not Gene Chizik. I'm like, no, I'm not. But so
that's for him. That's
you. And I'll get me a chicken bacon ranch on the side on Coach Chizik.
Yeah,
as well.
Now you're talking
something like that for me while I'm there getting him food. I will say that all the coaches, like when they sent you out for food, they were buying yours and probably giving you the change. I mean, they did.
Okay, so they did.
They
try
to help. Yeah, there was a tremendous effort to. They couldn't pay us, and the rules were so tight then. They've expanded the support staff structure. Coach Saban brought that. He brought that NFL model. Now everybody has plethora and plethora. It was kind of neat, honestly, back then to have a smaller group. Now those guys don't even all know each other because the wings are so big.
Or the staff's that big.
The support staff. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so you're kind of shooting to be the guy that never has to go through the drag it through the gardens.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And there's a guy that I felt like I was right behind, and he interviewed at Sanford. I'm like, he's going to get that job here. He's been at Auburn National Championship. He's going to get that Sanford job for sure. Billy D, who's well connected to the coaches at Auburn, was there. I was like, he's got that job. I'm going to hang around and do this one more year. And he didn't get the job. I was like, I really want to coach or be the guy. And so I said, it's time for me to kind of interview myself and see what I come up with. And so Murray State had an opening. Coach Hatcher, who's now at Sanford now, but he was there. I interviewed, thought it went great. He called me. It was like $9,000 job. Moved up to Murray, Kentucky. But I still wanted it. I thought he would be. I just felt like he was going to be successful. He had been at Valdosta. He was on his rise, and so I was like, get hitched to his. It's all kind of who you get hitched to. A lot of those guys that I was talking about earlier were hitched on the Malzahn train, so that's how they shot themselves to where they are, and they've worked really hard. But they had, Coach Malzahn was kind of their bridge to those places, and so I saw kind of similar thing with Coach Hatcher, and he broke that $9,000 job into three $3,000 jobs. And I was like, ooh, so I didn't get
Hold on a second. 3,000 for what? A semester? A year?
No,
what is it?
A year.
For the year.
A year. And so he said, you're overqualified for a $3,000 job. Thanks. And now knowing kind of how, because I had not been at small college yet, I'd only been at Auburn. So then once I get to VMI and I kind of see how this works, I mean, those $3,000 jobs helped them more than one.
He needed the bodies.
He did. He needed those hands and those eyes. And so then I'd interviewed at the same time, Murray State and VMI about the same, almost like the same week. And I put all my eggs in I'm going to Murray. I'm just VMI for experience. This is going to be an experience interview. And I get up there and I hit it off well with Coach Woods. Obviously my Air Force background. He's like, Trent, you know more about coaching here, and you've never coached here than I do after 4 years of coaching here, because you understand the military dynamics on campus.
That makes sense.
The tension that can kind of exist on all these academies. They're a strong brotherhood, but there is some tension between the guys who go there just for sports. Like they're there and they're going to do all the things they have to do. There's kind of an underlying tension of, the athletes and the non-athletes. If you can think about that for a minute, just on Saturdays where the cadet corps is going to march and do drill, the athletes are going to, they see it as working out. Now, if you've been in athletics, you know how hard they're also working. But when you don't, if no one intentionally bridges that gap to let everybody see the body of work both are doing, it can kind of create tension. So I talked about some of those things, and he's like, you're hitting the nail on the head. He's like, so I get home, and he called me about 4 days later and offered me the job. About the same time, Murray called and said, there is no job. So I said, VMI sounds great.
You can switch gears quickly.
When do I ride up? When do I ride up? And so started that job in the spring of 2010. Packed up literally the car from Auburn and headed up. And Don Woods, Sparky Woods' brother, he made a name for himself at Hartselle. He's a long-time successful head coach at Hartselle. So there was kind of some common bonds there. He took me under his wing specifically, being an Alabama guy from Cullman.
Yeah.
Did 4 years there. It's a hard job. We only won 2 games every year.
Oh, no.
They had not had a winning season in over 20. But again, I go back to some of the best coaching experience you could have, because you're outmanned every Saturday. So every step, every coaching key, everything you give the players has to be, I'm talking, locked in and precise. And honestly, that's where I kind of groomed my coaching style. I mean, it really, and since then it's played out, being at places, to include Cullman, but Lawrence County, where you're not always the most physically dominant team on the field, that minutia and detail I had to have at VMI has been a trademark kind of what I try to bring to my coaching style, to make sure the players know exactly what to do and how to do it. And if they can do that and be confident, give them the best chance to compete against somebody that's maybe more talented naturally than they are. So 4 years of VMI. Teresa Boozer, who's a teacher at Cullman, she told me about this girl in Cullman I need to meet. She's a 8th grade English teacher at CMS. And I'm like, I'm in Virginia, 9 hours away.
That doesn't really work right
Appreciate it. She told her about me. He may be dating somebody. I don't know. It's not serious. She's like, wow, this is a good sell. And I reached out out of more of obligation to Teresa, to be honest with you. And then we went to spring football. So I went a month and a half. I didn't say anything else. And so Miss Boozer kept checking in.
Playing hard to get.
With my now wife. Yeah, playing hard to get. Has he reached out? And no. And so she kind of scolded me for not reaching out. So we got through spring football. I was headed out on the recruiting trail. I reached out, and we started talking. We've talked every day since. So we got
Miss Boozer, the matchmaker.
Yeah, the matchmaker.
About
so that? I got engaged in December of 2014. And then they fired the whole staff. They fired Coach Woods and the whole staff. So I said, hey, this 3 days later after that, after getting engaged, I said, hey, still want to marry you? Do you want to marry a guy without a job? And so that kind of started my path back to Cullman. She was tenured at Cullman Middle School. I thought, I'm going to do a year of high school, and I'll maybe bounce back into college. But I worked a year at Gaston City with Coach Scott, getting that connection from Cullman, and we lived in Hanceville. I don't recommend anybody commuting from Hanceville to
What's
Gaston.
that drive like?
It was 55 minutes of 278 behind loggers and chicken trucks.
Yeah,
that's what I was about.
sounds
And there's
fun.
no easy way to get there.
And what they don't tell you, and you don't think about it, you're looking in the sun, going there,
That's it.
and you're turning around and
Coming right back
in
into it.
the wintertime, and that sun's low. Oh, it was brutal. I mean, I'm talking sunglasses on, shade down, you're still squinting.
And there's about 3 passing lanes between here and there.
Yeah, and you get stuck.
Yeah, you've done that one before.
Some of those turns, you get stuck with a logger truck turns over, you're stuck for an hour.
You're just there.
And so it was a brutal commute.
How long did you do that?
A year.
Yeah.
Coach Bridden called. I was preparing to go in my second year at Gaston City, and Coach Bridden called. And, hey, Bo, I got a math teaching job and a coaching spot. You interested in coming back? And
How long did it take you to answer that?
It really, because I felt like if we do that, like I still was in that mindset. This is just a temporary thing. I'm gonna get back into college coaching. But things were trying to change in my life, in my heart. Like I was like, I don't know that I want that rat race. I think I'm kind of seeing the value of a high school football coach and family structure.
Again, is this similar from when you were in the academy, the idea of kind of moving around?
Yeah, so I said, aren't you being a hypocrite twice now? If you go into college coaching and the job insecurity, I said, here you are again. It's a different path, but you're kind of hitting that same tone. Exactly right. And my wife is from here. Her family's from here. She's got a close family. I've been here my whole life. I mean, it was kind of coming obvious that this is probably where, we want to do life. And so I knew when we did that, I was probably coming to Cullman for a while. And I said, let's do it, coach. And so we went through that process. I didn't have a teaching degree yet, so I had to go through kind of Kim Hall actually led me through my she was assistant principal, Kim Hall at the time, led me through kind of what that was going to look like to do my, she's like, don't do the undergrad. It's easier. Just go ahead and get your master's. Like, do your master's route to education. By that time on the front end and invest those resources on the front end, and it'll pay off over the course of your career. So I started out teaching math. I joke the first time I started coaching at Cullman, I had math all the way through the day, and I had to show up to practice after school. That was the load, the slot I stepped into. That was it. And so I did. Eventually, I got into some engineering courses. I tried to bring that interest I had. I had the first engineering courses at Cullman. Project Lead the Way. Jake Johnson, the middle school principal, secured a partnership with them, and so we kind of it was a kind of a pre-delivered curriculum because I wasn't in a position where I knew how to. I was doing a master's, still second year teacher, coaching. Like, I was not ready to invent an engineering curriculum. So he bought
taking on a little bit,
kind of a turnkey, but it got it going, and obviously it's gone 1,000% increase since then. But it was neat. I still have students who know me as their engineering teacher, not the football assistant coach, and so it's just a neat little. I still love that curriculum. I love teaching that. Like, it was a passion of mine. I still like that, the way of thinking and engineering approach and stuff. But so did 5 years at Cullman. Started off with Coach Britton, then into Coach Stevens when he took over as interim, to Matt Plunkett, then to Oscar. So I weaved my way through all of that, and then I'd interviewed for several jobs at St. Paul, the one in Huntsville. Yep. And then I interviewed for another Grissom, and I thought both went really well. I got offered the one in Huntsville, and it just didn't feel right. Like, going from public to private, the commute. I was going to be teaching like pre-calculus and doing the head coach. I was like, I just don't think that's going to be my best version of my own self. So I said, I'm good. I'll just wait around for another cycle. And Coach Glasgow, hey man, that Lawrence County job came open, man. You check that out. You and Rich Dutton are a lot alike, which was not
spot
true,
on, by the way.
Yeah, I've heard it. I was a swimmer. I was an old Cullman catfish.
Were you?
So I'll
You've been around Oscar for a while.
I will, and I'll tell this story too. Do you know what it's like to be hired as a 30-something-year-old by a guy who saw you in a Speedo when you were
I didn't even think about that.
It's like, I was like, no, but he was my swim coach. He's also my defensive coordinator when I was coming through. I ended up being more of an offensive guy, but he was the defensive coordinator. So, like, there's so many parallels to me and Oscar. And so when
guy,
when he came back, I wasn't
phenomenal.
on the staff. When he came back, I wasn't actually on the staff, and I give him credit for, like, giving me another chance to get back on the staff at Cullman. Things had not gone well with the previous staff, and so it's just if he doesn't get me back on, or if he's not even hired, where am I right now? I don't know. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you get locked out, and you get kind of locked out of something, and you can't get back in. So for Oscar to come back, and
he got you back in.
He got me back in, and I when he's hired, I told him this one time. He probably won't remember, so he might get mad if he hears it. But I said, Oscar getting the job, man. I don't know how much I'm going to learn from him. Like, I want to be a head coach. I want to learn from. I learned more from Oscar in 2 years than I ever dreamed. His journey and the amount of growth he had from the time he left Cullman to come in, just all his experiences. I learned it, and he also was very intentional. He brought me in on meetings, like not meetings per se, they were head coach meetings, but here's what I'm going through right now. Here's the books I'm looking at. Like, the decisions he was making, he kind of knew that I wanted that one day, and so he mentored me in an unbelievable way and prepared me. And again, it's kind of kicked me out the door to go to this Lawrence County job. I interviewed for it.
Just real quick on Coach Glasgow. I had driver's ed with him.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the most underutilized position for this guy. I mean, we were talking music, literature.
He's incredible, Brain.
I mean, in driver's ed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you hit it. The best attribute to me for Oscar is his loyalty.
Yes.
Just like that. I mean, he was loyal to you, and he also was loyal enough to say, hey, it's time for you to go.
That's right.
Get out.
He wanted what was best for me, even though I uncomfortable to go to a county system that I didn't know anybody there. I didn't know nobody. It wasn't like I had an in there. It was like, I'm going cold interview, cold everything. I tell the people in Moulton later, I said, if you asked me where Lawrence County High School was, I couldn't have told you the city. I knew Moulton had a steakhouse.
I didn't know until you. So
I knew Moulton had the steakhouse on the way to Florence.
Oh yeah,
but I didn't know that there was a high school right off the road there. So like I told him I didn't know. I just knew I needed experience. And I remember telling Kim Hall and Mark Stevens in the hallway, and I kind of told them officially, it's gone well. I've been offered. I'm going to take this. I said, I'm taking this job to go get experience to come back and be your head coach one day. Little did I know that would that neither one would be, kind of really in the inner workings at that time. But that was why I went. But as I was there, and I tell this in fairness to Lawrence County, I fell in love with the place and the people. Like I really did. Like it was I went for head coaching experience, but it became much more than that for me. It became a passion and somewhere else I really wanted to do something significant with our time there and push the needle forward for them. And I think we did that. Obviously anytime you leave, there's always going to be sides of that folks, get hurt. You can't stay long. Well, I want to stay for this class. Like at some point, if you leave, you leave. Like,
they understand. This is the one job that you can take that they understand.
That's what, and that was honestly the vast majority. It was that they understood.
Do you still see some of the business side that you saw at Auburn early on? Do you see that in the high school level trickling down, or?
I do. I think what you're seeing, and I'm afraid where it's headed is, and that's what's so special about here. I don't feel like I'm coaching for my job every day. I feel like people are seeing what we're doing inside the program with our young people and our minds and hearts on campus. But there's a lot of places that, when you're hired in these spots that don't have a core classroom teaching responsibility, they're compensated more than coaches have been compensated for in the past at schools. Like there's an expectation to win or get out. I do think that. I said every trend goes from college to high school. There are some that swing from high school to college from a football scheme standpoint. I think Gus Malzahn and those guys kind of. But think about, you used to go to a football game and it was just enough to have a PA announcer.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have a booming sound system, a video board.
It's a whole production.
It's
right?
a production. I think I've seen the show.
Yeah.
Y'all have talked about that. I mean,
yeah,
he's right. It's at 6:34, the band's marching in. So I need to be off the field. That gives them just enough time to get in, to go through their procedures, into the national anthem, into the captains, it is. Literally the conversation I have with what time do you need us off? I mean, that's a conversation I have with the opposing coach every week when we visit somewhere, or when I talk to him, I need coach, I need you off by 6:34. And everybody understands now. Coach Gross and I were talking about that, from the video boards to the intro. I mean, it's a whole different thing. And so like now Cullman, hey, we're behind. Why? Because we don't have flashing lights yet. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's all trickling down. And so the business side is what I'm getting at. I think you're having coaches that are hired more in just coaching only roles. And that's why it's so important to me. I try to get up on, and I'm still first year here. I've not been up as much as I want to, but I know that I've been very intentional about like lunchroom duty, interaction with students, teachers in the hallways. Like they need to know that, I'm not just the coach down in the field house. I'm a part of this campus. Those players know that I have those teachers' backs, sometimes more than their own. You know what I mean? When a teacher says so-and-so's not acting right, I pretty much trust that teacher. You know what I mean? Because if there's smoke, there's fire. So if she even has a little bit of problem, it's not our standard anyway. So I
can't tell you, from administration to teachers to parents to just community members, how complimentary everyone has been on the culture change that they've seen in the football players, especially. It's being noticed.
Well, I appreciate it, and I've told several last couple of weeks, and not because of our record, but I just appreciate that we see that. Like I was worried, honestly, being away for so long. I mean, I lived here. I commuted to Moulton. I was the one that was excited about Moulton's 157 getting expanded by the hospital, because that's my route out to Moulton. So I was fired up about that project. You get past West Point, it's an easy commute.
Oh yeah.
Now, it used to, driving to Florence 20 years ago, is about like you're.
I still don't want to go to Florence, but that's just such a
It was
long
not
drive.
a fun drive.
I almost need that time, like to decompress. The time there, I mean, you leave in the morning, I just want to be at work.
Yeah.
But the time coming home, I mean, we call my wife and I 3 phone calls. I call her, check in, and then I needed to get back to 2 more people before I walked in the door, so I could try to be off, if I didn't do a great job at that. But you almost need that commute a little bit. But I like that. This summer I was waking up later than I had to leave to go to Moulton, and we started summer at the same time. Like, so that was a huge blessing. But again, you're seeing we're doing these things, and I was afraid that being away that maybe we weren't going to see value in the things we're doing. Like that maybe record was becoming the most important thing, and that's just not been the case. And honestly, the young people and the coaching staff have all the credit, because I just didn't think it would move this fast. I really thought I would be in more of a kind of a culture war, if you would, for a while. What I found is that for the most part, Cullman young people, they just know there's an expectation around them in the home and the school already. And so as long as you mirror what they're already For some of them it's different, but for a lot of them it's a mirror of their home. It's a mirror of what's expected in the classrooms. Our teachers have high standards and they don't apologize for those, and they shouldn't. And so like once they realize, oh, this is like that too, they go right back to who that is, if that makes sense. If you let it be
something else,
something else, they're smart enough to know where the lines are. That's what I say about Cullman kids. They are smart enough to know exactly where they can take this.
Yeah.
And so as long as you present, the way we present things about why this is important, I think we were in 3 games we might not have been in if it wasn't for these culture changes. But the seniors had bought in. We had seniors that are no longer with us, but it wasn't even a bad lead. Like sometimes, man, forget that. I'm not. They were like, Coach, I love what you're doing. I just realized you're wanting more from me than I'm willing to give, and I wish you the best of luck. Like that was a very unique conversation to have with some seniors, and I still shake their hand on campus and see them at lunch, and I respect that they knew that was not where they wanted to give from.
Here's you something I can say that's a true testament from inside my own house. I've got a sophomore that he played last year and decided not to play this year. He wanted to focus on baseball. To show a true testament to your program, he now regrets that he didn't play this year and is looking forward to coming out and playing next year. So you can see that record does not matter. He sees what you're producing, and that's other athletes telling him how much fun they're having, and he wants to come back and play.
And I really feel like probably still in that same grade. Those younger guys, it's like they need to see it. Yeah, I could say what I want to say when I got here in February, but it's like, we've been down this new coach route before, and it's like once now we've shown who, again, like despite the record, what the energy and the camaraderie inside the building is. I think there's going to be a group that does come back into the fold. I think they're seeing, like, first off, we feed them well. You do feed them well. We're blessed to put resources in place. That I just believe in that in terms of, you see the guys we play. They're
big boys.
They're big boys, and so we have to do those things here and commit those resources to that. But again, it's more about, if you came in our building, you wouldn't know our record. If you came to our practice, you wouldn't know our record. And I think that's important. But one, it just gives me a platform to do what I always said. Sometimes in coaching, you lose why you did it. What was my why? Because Brian Bowen reached into my heart and touched me in a place that, from a motivational and an almost inspiring way, that I want to be a better version of myself for him than I would if I wouldn't have known him. That's the ultimate reason. If I can have that impact on one young man in our program, then my time is worth it. And so sometimes you do get caught up in the strategy and the win and just wanting to do well and be successful in that way. And so as long as our program is marked by coaches that have impact, then we're really having a successful program. And I really believe it gives me a chance to say, all right, guys, Bob Jones, we know what that was in most schools. We understand that with the 3 games you ran, that we lost 3 games by a total of 5 points. You could mark probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 plays that changed the game. The outcome changes. So are you telling me you're going to lower your head and walk around with less confidence because of 3 or 4 high school football plays? That's not, if your value's in that, you'll be chasing the highs and lows of life. There's got to be something more you're about. And that's the brotherhood. That's the camaraderie of the team, like the fellowship. What we have accomplished has to mean more than those 3 or 4 plays. And so it gives me an opportunity to live out the things I've said before I got the job. Or when I got the job, I told them some things that had to be true. And that was that our identity would be more than scoreboard. But when you had our record so far, you have to live those things out as coaches, and they got to feel that I still have joy and I still love them, and because they come every day to work, and I'm trying to live out the things I said they got to be about, because that starts with me first. And so it's been a great opportunity to be that, to really, to not be ornery or short with them because of the record. Every day I tell them, come Monday, Oscar, that was one of Oscar's phrases, come Monday, win or lose, you're going to have coaches that love you. We're going to put a great plan in place for the next game. Like, we have to be able to reset the thing and not our values, not in the scoreboard. And so no better way than to start your first head coaching job at Cullman 0-5.
Just saying that is just not fair to the team, because they're not an 0-5 team. Yeah. I understand that's the record, but Bob Jones, 7A. They're big, they're physical. They've just got a lot of kids and a lot of athletes. Mortimer Jordan, at halftime it was
14-0.
And it just looked like everything was going against you.
Yes.
Offense couldn't get anything going, but in that second half, there's a little spark that was lit. Fought back, you lose by a point.
Yep.
Who was the next game? Help me,
Athens.
Athens, that's one of those. they have a backup quarterback comes in and looks like Cam Newton. I mean, that dude just had the game of his life.
He did.
The backup.
I mean, it was that. There was one guy on the field that was the difference in that game, and it was that.
You tell me you're going to go to Athens and score 38 with a team that just eked out 20 points at Mormon Jordan. I'll take that. Sign me up for that outcome. I'll take that because if we score 38, I think we're going to win that game and we'll lose by 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was again one of those fluke games. Of course, I'm a Cullman guy, and everybody's going to say, "Well, yeah," but I don't care. You just got to come see them all. Help me. Who was the next one?
And then the Jasper game.
The Jasper game. That's one of those that just hurts because I mean the guys fought hard the whole time. It was one of those. That's the biggest momentum game that I think I've been a part of. It was just the momentum would be on our side, then the momentum would be on their side.
I said if you're a neutral observer, like you don't wear either colors, like we've played 3 games in there that are just awesome for fans to watch, like just the football. And then when we scored in the fourth quarter, about 4 minutes left, I really thought this is that moment. Like I just really felt like we had persevered through so much already, and before that game and in that game, I was like, "This is it." And then they have good players too, and they mount a drive and they score with 30 seconds, and obviously the young people were just our guys are hurt. I said that's good. I said I don't wish you to hurt, but like I'm glad you're emotionally upset because it means you've invested in a place because not everybody has that. Some people go through their whole life and not give of that place you gave to feel the way you feel for the outcome you got. Like that's a special. It's a privilege. I said it hurts, but it's also a privilege to feel that way. Like you gave something meaningful, and it didn't come out your way. But that's live. We've showed that Coach Saban video several times this year about you guaranteed what? Nothing. Just because you worked hard, just because you prepared all week, just because you gave your best, doesn't mean you're going to come out on top. But is it going to keep you from giving your best the next time out? It better not. Because you may work really hard at a job and for a company, and then at the end of the day, they decide they're moving a different way. If you're going to plummet your whole life and your whole family and demeanor for that outcome, because the outcome wasn't what you wanted, then we're not building men with deep roots and strong foundations, and that's what we're ultimately trying to do.
It's for the past 2 weeks, especially. It was one of those fears from an onlooker of, well, they've given it all against these first 3 games. Can they keep that? Can they keep that up by not having the results they want? And dadgummit, they have. And Muscle Shoals is a really, really good football team.
It's an elite football team. When you really step back and look at it, they're elite.
But the kids never gave up.
They didn't.
I mean, the whole game, even when it was out of reach, they never once gave up.
Yes.
And that's very telling is you as a coach, your staff, and just the kids in general. And, hey, look at the stands.
I want to talk about. I've tried to use every platform I can. I really thought, okay, I knew the Jasper game would have a good attendance because of what it is. Even with our record, I was like, okay, a homecoming against Muscle Shoals, like yes, homecoming, but like homecoming doesn't have the same connotation it once does. We're going to try to work on that to get it really. I want homecoming to be a really special night in so many different ways for different parts of our campus, but. I thought, okay, now the air's out of the balloon. Now this will be the game that really feels like Muscle Shoals will have more people, and we didn't. We had another great crowd.
Oh, it was. I mean, it's amazing how many people are there to support, and it's not always been that way.
No, and I'm looking right. I'm telling you, thank you. Like I can't tell you how much it means to our guys because they feel that. Like I said on an interview when Kirby Smart years ago was challenging Georgia fans about how he needs more from them. If Kirby Smart's willing to do that, then it matters. Like fans showing up and being into the game, like if it affects Georgia at their level of players and stuff, it affects Cullman, I promise you. So to feel like our guys have something to fight for, it's like a chicken or egg, right? Which one comes first? I don't know. Are people coming because they see our guys fight, or are guys fighting because they feel the support? I don't know, but I know it's got us roll together.
Yeah.
You know, I know that we need that support, and we've gotten it. And so I tell them it's our job to put a product on the field that people want to come see and spend their Friday nights and their money on. And I think we are doing that. Last Friday night we faced an elite opponent, you know what I mean? But I'm hoping we go on this road stretch of 3 games and we can come back and show kind of what we're becoming in the Decatur game, have an unbelievable senior night because these seniors have been such a backbone of what we've done from the culture. And then again, the coaching staff. The coaching staff, I have guys that I've coached when I was here as an assistant. I have guys that I just worked alongside as a peer, as an assistant. And I have guys that coached me when I played as a Cullman Bearcat. I got the whole blend on my staff, plus some guys that I didn't know before I got the job. And so for them not to flinch, because I mean the change in terms of how we run the internal part of our program is very drastic. I mean, every person has to lean on their strength. I'm not one that likes to critique coaches because if you've never been in a seat specifically, you don't know all the dynamics that go into every decision you make. So I stay away from that. But I also know I have to lean to my personality strengths and what I think is important. And sometimes those they were very different from the job I took at Lawrence County. They were very different, in this job as well. But for the coaches to take that and just run with it, like that's the reason we're having the thing, because they trust it. They trust the plan. They've sold the plan to the players. Because I'm only one voice. Those assistant coaches are with their players more, than I am from a messaging standpoint. I talk before practice and after practice. Who's leading that team during the practice? The position coaches. And so it takes a staff, and I've got an incredible one that's been nothing but supportive of the vision of what we want to become here. And they've been through a lot of different Cullman eras, and they know when it's right and when it's not, and they have confidence. And so they're believing in what we're headed to become. I said, but I tell those seniors don't have a future. So we're not going to be internally focused on the future. A lot of people are excited about the future, but those seniors don't have future. They have now 5 games left. So our job is to give them our absolute best and to make sure they understand they are laying real foundational cornerstones of what we want to build upon. And that will never be lost on me and this coaching staff. People may forget because the record may not, but I'm telling you, they are laying down real roots for something to be strong here a few years.
It's easy to hold your head high when everything's going your way.
People patting on your back.
But man, the way that their leadership shines through, and bless their hearts, and you said it best, is we can sit here and talk about the future is bright, but those poor seniors, this is their final year to be able to play football for most of them. You hate that they don't have the victory yet. It's coming. But man, they can't hang their heads low because they are out there just fighting and really setting a good foundation for you going forward.
They are, and I told them that will never be lost. When I got this job, I texted my first year seniors. Now I had like 12 or 13 seniors. I didn't text all 12 or 13 because not all 12 or 13 were really bought in. But I texted the 5 or 6 that really bought in that first year at Lawrence County, and just to tell them thank you, because I don't have this opportunity without what you laid down. That's going to be the same here. These guys will always be very important to me because of what they bought into. And the ones that are left are the ones that bought in. And so it can't be said enough just how much they've Jack Cabry's and the Max Styles of the world. I mean, they have Chance Hauser. I mean, Chance Hauser goes on, ABC 33 Friday Night Rivals and represents our program. I know in his past there were times that folks said that's not going to happen. He's grown up so much, and really matured into just a beautiful leader inside of our program. I mean, just charismatic. I mean, it's just Camden Dyes making plays. I mean, I can just go down the list of guys who are playing so hard for the group and for the team and for us and for their community. And so that it's all there. We just got to, again, trust the process. That's one thing I told the staff. You're not going to see me panic. I had to stare. I went 0-10 my first year at Lawrence County, again, setting out on doing it right. And that doesn't mean we intentionally do things to not be successful. We just, in the same situation, we had I was playing my quarterback at Lawrence County was a freshman my first year as a head coach. We started probably 4 or 5 freshmen that year. And so I'm not going to panic because I know where this process leads. But to have the support from the administration, like I said before, I don't feel like I'm coaching for my job. They see what's going on our campus and our classrooms. And so therefore, I know they have the trust and the patience to see this through. And it's going to all come together. Like I know that, but to have, again, the support of our community, seeing those things and being very honestly outward expressing of it. Sometimes Cullman can stay in their own little bubbles and not say the things that need to be said. I've appreciated, and sometimes they'll say things, anyway, but the point is they've been very positive.
Good job.
Yes. They've been very positive. No one's more disappointed than I am that we don't have a win in the win column. But people are actually seeing the bigger wins, if you will, that are going on, and that means a lot to me.
It's from the outside looking in, and that's just being on the radio and different things. I get talked to about different sports. I can honestly sit here and tell you, no one has said anything negative. They understand exactly what you just said, that this is just part of the process. They hate it for the kids. They hate it for you, your staff. But everybody is so pleased with the direction everything is heading. So that's a true testament to you being able to turn this in the right direction.
I think being from here's helped. I think the young people know that this is my program too. I just think it's sped up so much faster than I anticipated, just from what I'd when you're not here, you hear the hearsay. I lived in here, but I was commuting. Like you kind of heard some of the things. And so I I was prepared for a long process to really see this out, and it hasn't been that. It's been a joy. I mean, literally since Dad took the job, it's been a joy and an honor. I'm just proud to be the head coach at Cullman football.
We're proud to have you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
I appreciate it. A lot of times in interviews, I think you guys say the things that have to be said. Coach speak or whatever. I appreciate you guys reaching out. I think there's a lot that can be said about this program and where we are, and I feel for what kind of my background, how it blends all into where we are, and I appreciate the chance not to speak coach speak, talk about.
I mean, we can talk X's and O's, but me and him are not going to have a clue what you're talking about. So that's
no, I don't know that. I think it's been pretty cool though to change it up. Do you feel the extra zing when you're calling the radio? I mean, I feel like it's different from last year, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
you can tell when you're up there.
It's one of those that. It's hard to describe, but there is more excitement around the program. I'd go weeks and nobody'd really ask me anything. I mean, now it's a constant. People are talking about it.
The one thing I didn't expect to hear was how organized your sideline is. Like I didn't realize that I had an organized sideline.
Yes, you do.
But people are. If that makes any sense, like that was one compliment that I thought we would reignite like the brotherhood, like just because I would talk about my experiences in the black and gold and Coach Hopper, like I got so many coaches at war. I wanted to bring that back to the forefront, and it's there. The passion playing for each other, celebrating plays together, not individually. But the organized sideline was one I didn't see coming. But I guess it was a contrast of and then I appreciate people again saying the things that.
Not just what we've seen in the past, but what we see across the field sometimes. Yes, you're organized.
Gotcha.
It is. It's
you get the whole bird's eye view, don't you?
Oh yeah, it's the little things that
I'll say that's the military / engineer. Like the guys know we got a certain way we do things, and that I guess it's not always fun for them, but I think they've bought into it.
You say that, but I think it is fun for them because they know this is what's expected instead of just. And one more thing, I do have to compliment you on something. The record's not what you want. One thing that I'm very proud as a Cullman alumni is you could have emotions, frustration show up in the form of penalties or just actions we don't want on the field, and there's not been any of that. So I really commend you for that.
We have really taught strategically. Kind of goes back to like Cullman. We can't overcome those anyway, but more bigger than that in the strategic, it's just choosing us over you. Like in the moment where you want to choose yourself and your personal battle, will you choose us? And like if I can't trust you on the field to choose us, then I can't have you out there. And again, I think we've had 2, we call them selfish penalties, right? Like there's a penalty against Bob Jones where Max Dow gets off a block and he's going to make the tackle, and honestly, his athleticism, he kind of falls, and it ends up being the quarterback falls and Max falls, and it's bang bang, and they throw it like that's not a selfish penalty. He was straining to the ball. And even on the sideline, I watch very carefully. Was that a late hit or not a late hit? We haven't had that one, but I've loved our sideline discipline. We've ran hard at the sideline and let players go out of bounds. Like we haven't had that cheap shot.
And there was some jawing, not from us this past week on the Cullman sideline, and that was something that I saw Cullman players turn away from that and get away from it instead of engaging. And that's
the military side. We go get your brother and take him out of combat. They take him out of the fire zone. We haven't had one yet, but I'm big on like the far sideline. When our player gets tackled in there or he makes a tackle, we don't talk to anybody. We go grab our teammate and we pull him out of harm's way because like that's just what we do, And so I think we've had maybe 2 selfish penalties in 5 games, and that's something that my understanding is that's a good marker of where we're headed.
Absolutely,
seems like a great number. That's a great stat.
Yeah. So not only can we not strategically give up those yards, like it's bigger than that. It's about an identity of we over me, that kind of thing. So,
well, thank you for taking time. This is your busy time, so you take an hour out of your day. We really appreciate it. It gives everybody a chance to get.
Nothing's more important than telling what's going on in our program, and there's a lot of positive, so much more positive, more than just the record. And so I appreciate the opportunity to kind of tell those things and kind of who's behind again the headset and stuff like that. I think knowing my story, kind of how I got here, helps connect to what we're doing and help continue to build the energy. I think I put a challenge out for the season, like, Cullman, don't wait till we have a good season to get behind us, and that's been answered. I just want to say again, thank you. We've had people in the stand. It has felt. Think about our band, our cheer. the whole stadium environment is really incredible. I mean, we played one game here. I know I'm taking y'all's time up, but I was in Orange County last year. Y'all know how much it rained. We had a situation with our schedule changed because of the rain. West Point called Cullman and said, "Hey, can we play Orange County on a Saturday?" And I'd not been in the stadium in 3 years, and I was like, "Wow, this is a really neat high school venue." And I think that was good for me. And we did some things this summer with our guys. We took them to different places for 7-on-7 to get out of this bubble and be reminded what you have. Like grateful hearts is one thing we talk about. Like a grateful heart is a full heart. I think, you know what I mean? If you can see what's going on around you and say, "Wow, I have it really good," or "Thank you for that." That's an important marker in a teenage boy. And we have more guys saying our parents sometimes help us serve food at times when we need some extra manpower. They've talked about all the young men that say thank you and yes, ma'am, like that. Like, and those things for me are wins. I know it doesn't translate, but it will eventually.
I think it will eventually. Yeah.
And so just our stadium, what I'm getting at is incredible. So to put that elite band we have and the cheer and the pride, like, again, we're going to get the football, elite with them as well. It's an incredible thing to be a part of. I hope more people continue to want to be a part of Cullman Friday nights moving forward.
Oh, they'll be there. Cullman's a special place.
It
just
is.
By everything you just mentioned. So we're all behind you.
I appreciate it.
You just keep up the good work. Come back and see us.
Yeah, it's great to hear your story.
We'll get you back
going to say
after the season. That way we won't take up any more of your time during the season, but we'll get you back.
We'll have to do a part 2. Kind of dig into some of those details.
Thank you for being here. I just want to tell you how
thanks
much
for
I
having
appreciate everything that you did. Did you push the button already?
We've already played and
goodness
repeat.
gracious.
So
All right. Well, Michael, it's just a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Jacob.
Again. Coach, we'll see you next time.
Coach, I feel like I'm the first guest. We didn't get the movies on, so we got to have a part 2, right?
We are. I was going to say we need a whole part 2.
I was a little nervous about that, by the way. That's one of my
even better.
I have a whole
be careful.
Theory on there's no such thing as the best movie. But that's a whole other.
And then we're definitely. I can promise you, we're going to do that. Okay. So we'll get you through football season, then we'll come back and have all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Go Bearcats.